In this episode, we talk about a new AI model launched by OpenAI. We also talk about Aam Aadmi Party's Atishi being appointed as the new CM of Delhi post Arvind Kejriwal's resignation. But first, we talk about the India-China border standoff. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Over 4 years ago, in June 2020, clashes occurred between Indian and Chinese soldiers who had crossed into at least 4 locations along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh a few weeks prior.
So, about 4 years ago, the border standoff between Indian and Chinese troops began in late April, early May.
That's Indian Express's diplomatic affairs editor, Shubhajit Roy.
And it came to a point where there were clashes at Galwan Valley on 15th of June 2020, in which about 20 Indian soldiers were killed, including a colonel rank officer from the Indian side. On the Chinese side, the Chinese never declared their casualty count, and they later identified 4 Chinese soldiers, who had been killed in those bloody clashes.
Despite several rounds of military and diplomatic talks since those clashes, there hadn't been any significant disengagement between the troops. But last week, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that about 75% of the disengagement problems with China have now been sorted out.
Those negotiations are going on. We made some progress. I would say roughly, you can say about 75% of the disengagement problems are sorted out. We still have some things to do. But there's a bigger issue that, if both of us have brought forces close up, and in that sense, there's the level of militarization of the border has increased. How does one deal with it? I think we have to deal with it. But in the meanwhile, after the clash, it has affected actually the entirety of the relationship, because you can't have, violence on the border and then say the rest of the relationship is insulated from it. So trade has got affected.
A day after Jaishankar made this statement, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said that the troops have disengaged at 4 places in eastern Ladakh, including the Galwan Valley. According to the ministry, this happened after the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang held talks on the sidelines of a meeting of BRICS NSAs at St. Petersburg in Russia, where they discussed the progress made in recent consultations on border issues. To understand what happened in this meeting and what we can expect as far as Indo-China relations are concerned, we have Indian Express's diplomatic affairs editor Shubhajit Roy joining us. Shubhajit, talk to us about the Indo-China relations in the recent past.
Well, India-China relationship is going through a rough patch for the last about 4 years now. And it all began when in April, May of 2020, Chinese troops were mobilized along the India-China border. And India had to sort of also mirror similar strength of troops on its side of the border. And there has been a border standoff since then with disengagement in some parts, but still there has been a standoff going on with almost 50,000 to 60,000 troops on either side of the border. And that has impacted the bilateral relations between the two countries, and this 3,488 kilometers of India-China border, it is disputed and it is not demarcated. So, this particular standoff has created a strain in the ties, has created tension between the two countries, and therefore there has been a sort of a setback in the relationship in the last 4 years.
And if we talk about the last 4 years, India and China haven't been on the best of terms. Can you tell us why that has been the case?
Well, because the two sides having mobilized troops, first the Chinese side mobilized troops and India had to respond. And because of that, the bilateral relations has been impacted because India has repeatedly said since the late 80s, when the India-China rapprochement happened with the visit of then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi to China. Since then, there have been series of agreements in the early 90s, which sort of both countries said that they would abide by them. And that essentially meant that there would be peace and tranquility along the border. And that meant that if there is peace and tranquility along the border, then both sides can do trade, do political relationship, there could be visits, and essentially there would be a normal ties between two neighbors. But with the Chinese mobilizing these 50,000 to 60,000 troops, and at some point almost crossing over on the Indian side. So India has sort of said that, this essentially means the breaching or violating of the agreements that were signed in the early 90s between the two countries to respect the LAC, the line of actual control, as well as to ensure peace and tranquility. So that's how the India-China relations have been frozen.
And recently, Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang. Can you tell us what all did they discuss during their meeting?
Well, in the recent months, there have been a series of meetings between the Indian side and the Chinese side. And it included the meeting between Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar with his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi. Wang Yi is also in a unique position where he also the equivalent of a national security advisor in the Chinese system, in the Chinese hierarchy. So he also met with Ajit Doval, our national security advisor. They essentially talked about how India said that they should redouble their efforts and with urgency they should resolve this particular issue, the remaining issue. And mind you, just hours before this meeting, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar had said that they had completed about 75% of the disengagement problems have been sorted out. But the bigger issue of increasing militarization of the border was still there. It should be noted here that what he's saying that 75% of the issue has been sorted out along the border. He essentially is, referring to the last disengagement that happened almost about 2 years ago. In September 2022 was the last set of disengagement that took place in some of the points. Since then, there has been no progress, and the 2 points two areas where the two sides are still in a face-off situation, on a close contact situation, are in Demchok and in Depsang. Both are in eastern Ladakh in India. And so this time when the two sides, the NSAs met, they essentially said that they should redouble their efforts and act with urgency to disengage from the remaining points.
Right, but at the same time, there have also been talks for narrowing down differences between the nations. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
And it should be noted that, end of August, there was a meeting between the diplomatic negotiators from both sides where they gave a very positive sense of the situation, essentially giving an indication that they were moving towards narrowing down the differences. And that sent a glimmer of hope of fact that, there could be disengagement on the cards. They tried to agree to the fact that they should redouble their efforts and act with urgency. And that sort of gave a glimmer of hope between the two sides, and where it was interpreted as the fact that there could be a possibility of disengagement on the border, in near future.
Now, Shubhajit, post this meeting between the Indian National Security Advisor and the Chinese Foreign Minister, how do we see things changing?
That's the sort of signaling that has come out. Although, there is sort of, so far, the Indian side has said that till the border situation is stabilized, is normalized, there cannot be normalcy in the bilateral relationship. But there is now hope that there might be some disengagement plan on the offing. And that is because there is a BRICS Leaders Summit, which is expected next month. So that's where things stand today.
Right. And Shubhajit, talking about the upcoming BRICS Leaders Summit where PM Modi is supposed to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping. So what are our expectations from this summit?
President Xi And the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi are expected to attend the BRICS leaders meeting that is going to take place in Russia in a place called Kazan. And it is expected to take place between 22nd October to 24th October. And now again, there is hope. I mean, we have seen these meetings happen in the past also, but now I think we are seeing some hope that there might be some possibility of disengagement if something happens by that time of the meeting between the two leaders. So that's where the expectation is at.
Next, we talk about OpenAI's latest AI model. On 12th September, OpenAI released its latest AI model, which is part of its very secretive Project Strawberry. The new OpenAI 01 is the first in a planned series of reasoning models that are designed to solve more complex tasks and problems in science, coding, and mathematics. To learn more about this new AI model, the Project Strawberry, and how it will impact the world of artificial intelligence, we have Indian Express's Bijin Jose joining us. Bijin, can you begin by talking about the Project Strawberry? What is it and what all is expected out of it?
If you look at the news reports, in the last few months, there has been several speculations on what is OpenAI building so secretively. So Project Strawberry is a secretive project that OpenAI has been building towards, there were speculation that it would be similar to, something next iteration of GPT-4 and this could potentially be GPT-5. But now with the latest launch, it seems this is completely different. But when it comes to Project Strawberry, this is an AI that they were training with some exceptional capabilities in terms of reasoning. So that is what it is. And then Project Strawberry AI models are those models that they train to have, the ability to think for themselves, essentially search the web autonomously, plan ahead, something that existing AI models are not capable of doing.
Right. And now coming to OpenAI 01, what is it exactly and how does it work?
So OpenAI O1 model, the other day OpenAI introduced this new series, which is they have officially confirmed that this is itself Project Strawberry. So now they have released two models, which is 01 Preview and 01 Mini. While 01 Preview is like a slightly expensive site and 01 Mini is the affordable model. These models are different in the sense that they are exceptionally well at complex reasoning tasks. And the difference that you see here is not minor. It is quite a big leap in technical terms because now they both come with 128,000 context window, the window which shows, how much text input it can take at a time. Similarly, they have given, based on OpenAI, there's this International Mathematics Olympiad qualifying exam. So for that, while GPT-4 only got 13% of the problems right, this 01 version scored 83%, which is very high, So this is very difficult for me to explain it in layman's version, but that is the kind of extent that they have trained this model. It can nearly, solve any problem that you put across it.
Right. And Bijin, when we talk about artificial intelligence, a question that definitely comes up is a concern regarding safety. So, is this new model safe for people and organizations to use?
See, with this model, OpenAI has done the same thing as it does every time it releases a new model. It has given out the kind of red teaming or the training that went into, the kind of safety security experts that it consulted while training this model. So as of now, if you trust OpenAI, the model is relatively safe and it has gone extensive testing and safeguards to ensure that there is some ethical use. And they have also claimed that they have used safety protocols that are actually built into it to prevent, harmful outputs or any form of misuse that anybody can do to these models.
And what benefits do we see coming out of this new model of AI?
So the particularly fascinating thing that caught my mind when I was reading their official announcement was one of these iterative models in this new series, it is as good as a PhD student when it comes to reasoning. So now it's very difficult to quantify because, we really don't know what kind of metrics they used. And if they are claiming it, I'm sure that model must have been exceptionally well at, logical reasoning. So that is something for a first time user, this might come across as, it could be an imminent threat to researchers. But no, it's not actually a threat because, this model with such kind of reasoning capabilities can actually help accelerate breakthroughs, because even today various researchers, they use different kinds of tools, models available to them. So with OpenAI O1 and its subsequent iterations, these models can actually speed up the whole innovation game. When we talk about benefits, I think, see, like as we mentioned earlier, it has advanced capability when it comes to reasoning, and this could be actually, a boon for areas like healthcare, education, and content creation. Healthcare in the sense, like chatbots will be able to reason far more better when it comes to advanced diagnostics, but that is actually a very later stage of development. So as of now, I think this is the most powerful model with the capability of logical reasoning. No other model has this kind of reasoning faculty at this point of time.
And Bijin, I have to ask you the $1,000,000 question, which comes up in almost every person's mind whenever there is a discussion over artificial intelligence. How do we see this new AI model impacting jobs?
See, I have been of this philosophy since the last 2 years. I've been working on AI, that, AI will not completely take away jobs. There would be jobs that still require human intervention. But with this new model, what I feel is, now that we have a very powerful model which can solve complex problems, so jobs that could actually may be impacted would be like, jobs that require data analysis, coding, mathematical modeling, software development, these kind of jobs may be hit to an extent. Also, if you look at it, reasoning is an intellectual task. And if you actually automate it, it would automatically decrease a lot of potential areas where human involvement is required. So that is one thing that I feel could be a matter of concern going forward.
Right. And Bijin, can the regular public use OpenAI 01?
See, 0.1 and 0.mini are not meant for lay persons, especially, if you look at the broad way people use ChatGPT in India. Let's zero it down to India. Like, people use it to create text, create images, maybe write a draft for them, plan their itinerary, all those things, So for all those tasks, they can still pretty much use ChatGPT. And when it comes to the newer models, these are more inclined towards logical reasoning, something that is more, handy for a developer or a programmer, basically a software whiz, So I don't see them, bringing a lot of new things to the table for an average user.
And in the end, we talk about Delhi's new chief minister. Yesterday, former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal resigned, paving the way for Atishi to become the third woman CM of the national capital. CM designate Atishi handed over the letter of support from the Aam Aadmi Party MLAs to the LG, staking claim to head the government.
मंत्री आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता मेरे गुरु अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का धन्यवाद करना चाहती हूं, जिन्होंने मुझे इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी दी और इस जिम्मेदारी के लिए मुझ पे भरोसा किया। ये सिर्फ आम आदमी पार्टी में हो सकता है, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के नेतृत्व में हो सकता है कि एक फर्स्ट टाइम पॉलिटिशियन एक राज्य की मुख्यमंत्री बने।
Hours after she was picked by Arvind Kejriwal as his successor, Delhi Minister Atishi said that she will run the government under the guidance of the Aam Aadmi Party chief and thanked him for trusting her with the biggest responsibility. While addressing a press conference, Atishi said that there is only one CM of Delhi and that is Arvind Kejriwal, and that our sole objective is to make him the CM again.
मैं आज ये जरूर कहना चाहती हूँ आम आदमी पार्टी के सभी विधायकों की तरफ से, दिल्ली की 2 करोड़ जनता की तरफ से, कि दिल्ली का एक ही मुख्यमंत्री है और उस मुख्यमंत्री का नाम अरविंद केजरीवाल है।
Accusing the BJP of hatching a conspiracy and keeping Kejriwal in jail for 6 months in the alleged Delhi excise policy scam, she said the Supreme Court gave him bail and a tight slap to the centre by calling its investigation agency a caged parrot. She said, quote, "What Arvind Kejriwal did after coming out of jail was not done anywhere in the world or been done by any leader in the world. He said he would sit on the seat of the CM only after the people of Delhi certify his honesty." Unquote.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने पिछले 2 साल से अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को परेशान करने की, उनके खिलाफ षड्यंत्र रचने की कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी। एक ऐसा आदमी जो अपनी IRS कमिश्नर की नौकरी ठुकरा सकता था, एक ऐसा आदमी जो एक नई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से पहली बार चुनाव लड़के मुख्यमंत्री पद से इस्तीफा दे सकता था, ऐसे आदमी पर, ऐसे ईमानदार आदमी पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगाए, झूठे केस किए, फर्जी केस किए, अपनी एजेंसीज ईडी को, सीबीआई को उनके पीछे छोड़ दिया, उनको झूठे मुकदमे में 6 महीने तक जेल में रखा। आखिरकार सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उन्हें जमानत दी, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सिर्फ उनको जमानत नहीं दी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने केंद्र सरकार के मुंह पे तमाचा मारा, उनकी एजेंसीज के मुंह पे तमाचा मारा। उन्हें कहा कि इनकी एजेंसीज, केंद्र सरकार की एजेंसीज एक पिंजरे में कैद तोते की तरह हैं, और अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की गिरफ्तारी गलत थी। अगर अरविंद केजरीवाल,
The Kalkaji MLA, who holds the portfolio of education, finance, law, tourism and several other departments, also asked people not to garland her and celebrate the occasion because it was not a happy one, as Arvind Kejriwal would step down as the Delhi CM. Later in the day, Arvind Kejriwal met with the Lieutenant Governor and submitted his resignation. After the proposal for the new CM is sent to LG Saxena, he will forward it to President Draupadi Murmu, following which Atishi will assume charge as the Delhi CM. The oath-taking ceremony will take place in 3 to 4 days, said a government official. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Niharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.